People get themselves overwhelmed with nutrition to the point where they don't know what they're supposed to be doing, when if they just got the basics right, they would make so much more progress. Yes, now then, my alpha men around the world, welcome back to the show. My name is Andy Naylor. I am founder and CEO of Naylor Body Design and host of the Optimal Alpha podcast. I find a lot of the people that I speak to, understanding all the science behind so many elements of nutrition ends up just overwhelming people for absolutely no reason. People get themselves overwhelmed with nutrition to the point where they don't know what they're supposed to be doing, when if they just got the basics right, they would make so much more progress. Today, where we're going to start, calories, right? Because it makes the most sense to start with probably the king element of nutrition. We're going to start with calories. And all we're going to do here today is we're going to delve into what is a calorie? Like, what is a calorie? Where do they come from? And how could we simply start to think about using them to our advantage? So what is a calorie? So calorie is a term that I believe was sort of formulated back in the 1900s, and scientists were using it as a way of measuring how much energy it took to heat a kilo of water to 1 degree Celsius. Okay? So it was an experiment. We need to use X amount of energy, and they decided that that was a calorie to heat a kilo of water to 1 degree Celsius. Hence the phrase kilocalorie. Hence the term kcals. So if you look on the back of any nutritional label, you will see, per 100 grams, you'll normally see two numbers. I think one might say kilojoules or joules. One might say kcals. Kcals are what basically most people use. Some areas of the world still use the other one, but I would say most of us use kcals. And most people abbreviate that just to calories, but kcals is the proper term. That's what a calorie is. It is a measurement of energy. We can also say, if you want to think about it as a sort of leap further, when we start to think about how many do we actually need, and we're talking about energy being heat, because that's what this experiment was based on, our body must stay between, I think, is it 36.1 and 37.2, 36 and 37 degrees C. Let's just not split hairs. Our body must stay between there for health. Okay? So the amount of energy that we're taking in, which is then coming back out as heat, is keeping us in that ballpark. So calories have got a lot more to do with other aspects of our health, other than, do we get fat? Are we getting thinner? Are we dropping weight? Are we performing in the gym? They have a lot to do with other bodily functions that most of us just pay no attention to. Why? Because our body is incredibly efficient at just dealing with this stuff. But this is where calories are coming from. This is what they're about. So, now we ask the question, where do calories come from? So you might already know this, but from everything that you consume. Okay? Yes, food and drink. Let's put the drink to one side for a second. Let's look at food. 3 particular areas of food: the macronutrients. Okay? Proteins, carbs, fats. They are our 3 main macronutrients. We could add others onto that if we wanted to. But technically for today, we're going to keep it simple, because they're the ones that matter the most. And they're the ones that, if I help people focus on anything, they are the 3 that we're going to focus on. And you get a different amount of calories per gram of those. So if I had a gram of protein, I would get 4 calories for that gram. Same with carbohydrates. If I had a gram of carbohydrates, I would get 4 calories. Now, here's what's interesting. If I had a gram of fat, I would get 9 calories. I get way more energy per the same amount, a gram. Now, isn't that smart that when your body, on an evolutionary scale, decided that it probably should find a way of storing energy for, I don't know, famine, times without food, trying to get through winter on an evolutionary scale, it worked out that it was far more effective and efficient to store fat, because fat had nearly twice the amount of energy for the same volume. These are things that people don't think about. That is why we store fat. I'm sure there are other reasons, but on a how much energy can we store to keep us alive for the longest period of time, that makes the most sense. Now, worst lot, we want to look great, look shredded, not have a lot of fat. So we are literally fighting against evolution to try and bring our body fat down. Again, something that people don't tend to sort of really understand when they're trying to get lean. You are literally telling your body to do something against what your body thinks is keeping you alive. This is why we need to be smart about how we use macros and calories. I think it's also interesting to understand that just because a food is healthy, whatever healthy means, doesn't mean it's low in calories, if being low in calories is what we want. For example, take an avocado. So an avocado, we would all sit here and say probably quite a healthy food, but it's pure fat. A good fat, but it's pure fat. And I've just told you that per gram, it's got twice as many, nearly, well, more than twice as many calories per gram. So I could give you a particularly healthy diet and make you fat quite easily, because I would just give you lots of very healthy fat foods. Think of things like salmon. Certain salmons are as much fat as they are protein. Avocado, nuts, probably a really healthy organic peanut butter. I could give you healthy foods and make you fat. Never get caught up in the idea of, I'm eating healthy, I should be losing weight. No, you could be eating particularly healthy, but the way you've chosen your macronutrients and therefore then the calories means that you could be easily maintaining your weight or adding your weight. So your calories are coming from all the foods and drinks. Now, the problem with the drinks are very easy to drink calories and not know that you've drunk them. When you eat calories, you've got to digest them. You kind of know you have more of an intrinsic feel that you've had to eat and chew and digest the food. I could give you a weight gaining shake that has 1,000 calories in it. You'd drink it in about 2 minutes flat in, like a little shaker bottle like this. You wouldn't even know that you've had it. And that would be 1,000 calories, which could easily be half a person's day's worth of calories. So think very carefully exactly where you're getting your calories from. If you're dieting, naturally, we recommend that the vast majority of your calories needs to come from food, so that in terms of satiety, you're not sitting there feeling hungry all the time. How do we use our calories? First of all, we need to be accountable to them. Let me put this to another way. The amount of people that say to me, "Oh yeah, I don't really count my calories, but I have a plan." If you feel that you've got a food plan and you're not counting your calories, my goodness, your portion control should be absolutely amazing. And it takes years to get to the point where you can just look at a plate of food and know how much energy is coming in. Humans are incredibly bad at two things. One, they overestimate the amount of energy that they are exerting, their exercise and movement, and they underestimate the amount of calories that they are eating. In other words, they eat more than they think they are. Humans are very good at that, and it has been proven. So you need to count them. If you are looking to drop body fat, there is only one system that underpins the whole thing, and that is a caloric deficit. I don't care what diet you've picked. Don't care. Not interested. Intermittent fasting, keto, low fat, Slimming World, Weight Watchers, juice diets. I don't give a damn which one you think works for you. They are only based on one principle, and that is a caloric deficit. Okay? If your body burns, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're able to see what I'm doing. If your body burns a certain amount of calories per day, and let's say it's 2,500 and you're eating 1,600 a day, there is a deficit of calories. You're consuming less calories than your body needs to perform. Therefore, it will use those calories, it will go and find them from your fat stores. That's it. Now, there are other things at play, yes. But the reality is, if there is no caloric deficit, there is no fat loss, all things being equal. Okay? Let's put it into another perspective. If you're on a keto diet and you love a keto diet, people who tend to be on keto diets tend to be a little bit like, oh, it's the only way you should eat and everyone should eat like this, which I always find quite interesting. There are 3 macronutrients. If someone's on a keto diet, you've just taken away 1/3. You've just taken away carbohydrates. If you then don't up the amount of fats and protein you're eating, you've just taken away 33.3% of your daily intake of food. That's it. You're in a caloric deficit. That's it. Other things may be happening, yes, but ultimately you've just taken away 1/3 of your food. If you're on intermittent fasting and you eat 3 meals a day, but you're intermittent fasting, so you now don't have breakfast, so you're now only eating 2 meals a day, guess what? You've just taken away 1/3 of your food. Ta-da! You've just put yourself in a caloric deficit. Now, there is nothing wrong with these styles of eating if they work for you, but do not kid yourself and think that there is something additionally special about one of these modalities. Yes, there are other benefits to all of these things. And I could sit here and argue for and against intermittent fasting or keto. I could tell you reasons why someone should and shouldn't do them. But if we're coming down to the brass tacks of why does something like this specifically help in terms of fat loss, it's one thing, it's a caloric deficit. And you need to be accountable to your caloric deficit. And what's the best way of doing that? You have to get over it and weigh your food. If you're sitting there going, I really can't be asked to weigh my food, then your goal don't mean shit to you. Don't wrap it up any other way. Are you putting your food onto your plate? Well, I should hope so. I doubt you're eating it off the floor. So just put your plate on the bloody scales first. Stop kidding yourself. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. Put your plate on the scales, put your food on the plate and weigh it. And then get your phone, use a free tracking app like MyFitnessPal and track your food and become accountable to it. If I said go get in your car and drive to the next, state or county along, but I didn't show you and I wouldn't let you see how much fuel was in your car, you would say to me, well, Andy, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know how much fuel is there. You'd be accountable to the fuel in the tank. This is exactly the same. Now, a brief rule of thumb, a little takeaway here, and this is just a rough rule of thumb. To work out where to start, if you're a male and you're like, well, where on earth do I even start? Take your body weight in pounds, times it by 12. As a rough rule of thumb. I do not know you. I do not know your history. I do not know your age. I do not know how big you are. I don't know your muscle mass. I don't know who I'm talking to. Don't know you. But as a rough rule of thumb, if you are a male and you take your pounds in your body weight in pounds and times it by 12, it's genuinely a pretty half decent place to start. For a female, times it by 10. Yes, there will be outliers. You may be a person sitting there going, well, that's ridiculous. That doesn't work for me. And that's absolutely fine. That may well be the case. But I've been doing this 19 years and those two numbers come up over and over and over again. Yes, there are other far more complicated multipliers that we can use. And to be honest, I just don't use them anymore. I tend to go by these two numbers, get either myself or the client to become uber consistent, and then just watch what happens. Sit back and watch. Do they start to lose body fat? Yes. Brilliant. We're going in the right direction. Do they not start to lose body fat? No. Okay. Check that everything's consistent and then maybe start to make some changes. It really is that simple. That is my overview today for calories. Don't think too much more about them than that. Look at the labels on the back of food. One other really good tip I can give you is if you're tracking your food, track it before you eat it. Don't eat it and then track it and think to yourself, oh shit, I've bust my calories again for the day. Just do it the other way round. Log your food that you think you're going to eat into MyFitnessPal or whatever app you use, and then look at it and go, okay, that's a bit too much. And you can take a little bit off your plate before you eat it. It's no more complicated than that. Now, that is going to wrap up everything for calories. You're welcome to ask questions. If you've got further questions, tag me on your social media. I will do my best to come along and find them. And that is me for today. And I will catch you on the next episode.